weekly in-depth view of agriculture up close. This is In the Field. Presented by Gordon's Feed and Pet. So it might be a damp, cold day here at Blue Heron Farm in Marshfield, Missouri, but we're here to see something that is quite unique here in the Ozarks, ducks, and a few other things they grow year-round. James, thank you for letting us come over here to Blue Heron Farms. Tell me about yourself. I'm guessing that our viewers will quickly know that Marshfield, Missouri is not your native home.
No, I'm not originally from Marshfield, Missouri. I'm from England. We chose to move to this area because we thought the Ozarks were beautiful. We were looking to buy a farm, and we liked what we saw. The people, the land, and just generally it's got an agricultural vibe to it, which is not evident everywhere. When we first moved to Missouri, we identified that there was a market for duck eggs, or we hoped there was. So free-range chickens and free-range chicken eggs have become really popular. And then we did start there, so we did have a large chicken flock. But I grew up with ducks and duck eggs, and I think they're superior to chicken eggs. And then when we bought this farm, we kind of had an ideal resource. So the pond led us into that decision, and we started small. We just had a few ducks, and just for our family, really, and then it kind of got a bit carried away. So we kept adding them till now we have this flock. And we sort of produce for local restaurants and retail and farmers markets. Well,
everybody that lives in Missouri knows that our weather changes daily.
It does. It's very unpredictable.
These cold, windy, damp winter months, ducks still thrive.
So ducks thrive in pretty much any conditions, particularly because they're from the northern hemisphere. So they will tolerate cold and they will tolerate heat. And all the conditions that we get in Missouri.
So in the peak of the season, not during these damp winter months, how many eggs are you collecting each day?
So we get about 300 to 350 eggs a day. So the flock consists of 400, but there are some drakes in there. So hen-wise, we have about 375. So we get close to that at the height of the season, which is anywhere from February through till October.
Well, one of the most fascinating things, James, that I learned today as we were walking around the farm is that ducks like a schedule. Take me through that and why.
So ducks are very routine orientated. They don't like change, and they need a very strict routine. So curiously, they can be retrained and they can get used to any situation, but it takes them a long time to become conditioned.
So I know for myself, I am less familiar with a duck egg than a chicken egg. So as a consumer, can I do just the same thing with a duck egg as a chicken?
Yes. Duck eggs and chicken eggs are pretty similar. I mean, they're eggs, so you can eat most bird eggs. The difference is that duck eggs are alkaline as opposed to acidic, which means that they're easier for your body to metabolize. So for many people, and a niche for us at least, is that people who are allergic to chicken eggs can eat duck eggs. So that's been nice. Also, duck eggs are bigger, they're richer. Generally, they have a much more diverse diet. So as you can see, our ducks are completely free range. Now, we do feed them, but during the spring, summer, and fall months, then they're actively foraging. So they're looking for snakes, grubs, bugs, flies, anything they can catch, frogs, and that really enriches the quality and the taste and flavor of the eggs. So that's nice about them. They're much more active than a chicken would be. So you get a much more benefit from having the free-range lifestyle that they have.
So James, I know that in the summer months you have a full garden of produce that you're marketing, but in these winter months, I know that you have a grow room. Let's go check out those microgreens.
Be a pleasure. So this is our grow room. It's just a simple indoor room that we keep heated and cooled in the summer months. And microgreens need fairly specific growing conditions. So if you imagine they're like thousands of germinated seeds. So it's a bit like doing starts, but year round. So we use standard 10-20 trays, and then we densely seed them so that there's very little space between each seed. And then they germinate and they create like a mat and a field of tiny sprouts, basically. So the difference between sprouts specifically and microgreens is that microgreens have their first true leaves. So they're not just a shoot, they've got their first leaves, so they've become an actual plant. We cut them down and bag them up so you can try them. These are micro cress. So they're kind of spicy, they've got a little pepperiness to them. They're very nutritious, and they go very well with our eggs, so that's one of the reasons we do it. They're a good garnish for that.
So how long does it take to get to this stage before it's time to be harvested?
So it depends on the variety. So this is garden cress, and these take about 3 weeks. So from the point here, where they're just seed and they're germinated, then to grow to this size and ready to be harvested is 3 weeks. But some of our varieties are 7 days, so they can be very quick.
So we've seen the ducks, we've seen the microgreens. What else do you have growing this time of the year?
Let's go and look at the mushrooms.
Okay.
So we repurposed these old coolers, so they're from a restaurant. Our friends at Farmers Gastro Pub gave them to us. And then we have a simple air conditioning unit up here that gives us fresh air and cool air in the summer months. And then we have light and we use a heater. So with mushrooms, it's very important to control the humidity. So they need high humidity, so it needs to be at least above 80%, if not 90% humidity. And then we want a constant temperature of around 63-ish, somewhere. It's anywhere between 60 and 65 is okay, but 63 is optimal.
So I see different varieties of mushrooms, and I'm sure that they're purchased and prepared differently, correct?
So I think that the standard mushrooms, so the portobellas, so if I just pick one here, you can have a look. I think everybody's familiar with a portobello mushroom.
Of course, yeah.
They're generally sliced, sauteed, mushroom soup, you know, the kind of a classic. They're the all-round mushroom that all restaurants and most consumers would use. Whereas the oyster mushrooms, if I just pull one off here, they're a little bit more unusual. But in reality, they cook and behave just like any other mushroom. So they have a slightly milder flavor to them, perhaps, and they go very well in soups, adding to broth. But you can also just chop them up, rip them up, saute them with some garlic like you do with any other mushroom.
So when you're interested in spicing up your cuisine with some duck eggs, microgreens, or local mushrooms, you can visit Blue Heron Farms on Facebook and Instagram.